I want you to think about someone you know. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe, if you're really being honest right now, it could be you. Notice this person's working really hard and money's coming in and opportunities are showing up. And somehow they're still struggling. Not because they're lazy, not because they're not talented, not because God forgot about them, but because everything they're building has no financial foundation underneath it. And here's what makes it very dangerous. It doesn't show up right away. When times are good, no financial foundation feels fine. Income is moving and life looks like it's working. But the moment pressure shows up, a job loss, market shift, a health crisis, an unexpected bill, AI showing up, the absence of structure just doesn't slow things down, it accelerates the collapse. I've watched it happen to people making $50,000 a year, and I've watched it to people making $300,000 a year. The same result, just different tax bracket. Now, if you've ever watched that happen to someone or lived it yourself, drop the word foundation in the comment section right now. Because what you're about to learn is exactly why that happens. Now, to make sure it never happens to you ever again. How? Let's get started in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Who are we? Hey, 7-figure squad. What we go? Run it up, run it up.
What's cracking, everybody? Money Smart Guy Matt Sapaula here, hailing to you from Dallas, Texas, and welcome to the 7-Figure Squad YouTube channel. This channel is built for one type of person, someone who wants financial control. Control over the money, control over the decisions, control over the future. Not built on hype, not built on get rich quick, but built on faith from a biblical perspective and grounded in real world application. Now that's you. You're in the right place. Now, this is episode 4 of God's Economic Code, this series we've been hosting on this channel here the last 3 weeks. If you're brand new here, let me catch you up fast, because what we're building in this series is not random. It is a system, a sequence, a code. In episode 1, we talked about order. God never increases what's out of order. Before he filled the earth, he organized it. Light from darkness, land from sea, order first, and then increase. So a question for you, what part of your life are you asking God to bless that you haven't put in order yet? Episode 2, we talked about capacity. Capacity is not ambition. Capacity is what you can carry without breaking. And the formula we discussed in that was skill times structure times stability times systems. If one area is weak, expansion multiplies the weakness. Question to ask yourself, if God doubled my responsibility tomorrow, would I be ready to carry it? In episode 3 last week, we discussed freedom. The Israelites got delivered from Egypt. The Red Sea split. The Egyptian army was destroyed. And within days, they were asking to go back to slavery. Why? Because slavery was predictable. And freedom requires responsibility. Because you see, there's a price to pay for it. And most people don't resist freedom. They resist what freedom actually costs them. Question to ask, when opportunity shows up, will you build the muscles to carry it, or would you run back to Egypt? Would you run back to financial slavery? 3 episodes, 3 laws, order, capacity, and freedom. And today, episode 4, we add the 4th part of his code, which is structure. Because everything we built so far requires a financial foundation to stand on, and most people are sadly building on sand. Now, let me tell you about a couple I sat down with not too long ago. They came to one of my workshops here in Dallas. We run them twice a week right here in Dallas. Now, both were college graduates, and both were professionals. Combined household income between the two of them, over $300,000 a year. Now, picture this. Beautiful home, luxury cars in a driveway, kids in private school, both of them have private trainers, and everybody dressed to the nines. Now, from the outside, they look like the goal. They look like the dream. They look like what everybody on social media is trying to become. So I sat down with them. They tell me their dream, which was early retirement. They wanted out of corporate America. They wanted freedom, and they wanted control. Now, I opened the financial picture by asking specific questions. Guess what? Less than $10,000 in savings, 0 life insurance, literally nothing to show for earning $300,000 a year for the last 10 years. Now, these are not bad people. These are not irresponsible people, no judgment whatsoever. But these are people who were never taught the code. So I lay out my recommendations, a clear path, a real plan, an alternative to the predicament, and a structure that could actually get them to where they said they wanted to go. You know what they said after we were done? Matt, we need to think about it. They need to think about it. Yet they came to me frustrated, especially knowing that they're way off track, knowing that time was not on their side, knowing the dream they described required action, required discipline, required accountability, not more thought. And here's what I learned in 26 years of me doing this. It's hard to tell people who are more concerned about what other people think about their status than what God thinks about their stewardship. Now, my recommendations had a lot to do with showing them their financial mirror, having to cut back on certain things in order to get back on track. And here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. House, the cars, the clothes, the image, all of it was consuming the very resources that could have built them something that would actually last. By the way, check out this episode right here we did last week about lifestyle financial creep. Now, mind you, this is not a judgment. That's a pattern, and it has a name. We'll get to that in a moment, but first, let's go to the word. In 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40 says this. Paul writes that, let all things be done decently and in order. Very simple line, yet deep instruction. Decently, let's talk about that. Decently with excellence and intention. Let's talk about order with sequence and structure. Now, this is not about church services. This is how God operates. God is a God of systems. God is a God of process, and God is a God of sequence. He never builds on chaos. He never increases what has no foundation. Now look what Jesus says in Luke chapter 6, verse 47 through 49, one of my favorite verses. As for anyone and everyone who comes to me and hears my word and puts them into practice, I will show you what they are like. In verse 40, it says this, they're like a man building a house who dug down deep and laid the foundation on rock. When a flood came, torrent struck that house, but could not shake it because it was well built. Verse 49, but the one who hears my words and does not put them into practice is like a man who built a house on the ground without a foundation. The moment the torrent struck that house, it collapsed and its destruction was complete. Now, Jesus described two different types of builders. The first man dug deep. He laid his foundation on rock, takes his time, does that work underneath before anything shows up on top. Now the flood comes, the river rises and beats against that house. It doesn't move. You know why? Because it was well built. The second man hastily builds on the surface, skips the foundation, gets to the visible part faster. The same flood comes, the same storm comes, same pressure. The moment the torrent struck, it collapsed and its destruction was complete. Now, I want you to sit back and think about that for a second. It was the same storm, yet it was a completely different outcome. Not because one man worked harder, not because one man had more talent, not because God favored one over the other, but because one man built structure underneath before he built anything on top. And here's what Jesus is telling us. The storm is not the question, because it's going to come anyway. The storm is coming for everyone. And then market shifts and life happens and seasons change. And the only variable in this scenario is what you've built underneath. So ask yourself right now, am I the first builder or am I the second one? Drop the word builder in the comments and be honest with yourself. That's where change begins. Now, let me give you the framework. If you want what you build to hold, you need 4 pillars. Every single one of these pillars matters. If you miss one of these pillars, you left a gap for the storm to find. Pillar number 1, income architecture. What am I talking about? Single source income, your only income from a job, a commission check, a sales job, one source of income is a single point of failure. I've learned this the hard way. When I left the United States Marine Corps, I had one skill, one product, one market. I was a door gunner, CH-46 helicopter, and I believed that was enough. The moment the market shifted, the moment the Marine Corps said, you cannot re-enlist anymore, I felt it immediately. Everything I had built was dependent upon one source, one pillar. And when that one pillar moved, everything attached to it moved with it, and I started to panic. Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 2 says this, invest in 7 ventures, even 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon your land. Now, that's just not investment advice. By the way, it's in Proverbs, right? That's just not investment advice. That's structural wisdom. And that's God saying, don't put it all, that weight on one pillar. Build multiple. Because income architecture means building income that doesn't collapse when one source disappears. And by the way, you see it right now on TikTok. You see it all right now on social media. Everybody's freaking out because AI is starting to replace their jobs. And literally 70% of jobs and Meta laying off people are freaking out. But if you have multiple skills, multiple streams, multiple value points in the marketplace, boom, you're in a position to succeed. Now, here's your self-audit question, and write this down. If my primary income stopped tomorrow, how long could I operate? And by the way, majority of people in America wouldn't be able to scrape together $1,000 if an emergency came their way. If the answer is less than 90 days, You don't have income architecture. You've got income dependency. Now, drop the word income in the comments if this pillar needs reinforcements in your life. Pillar number 2, cash flow controls. Because the second pillar is about cash flow and controlling your cash flow. This one exposes something that most people don't want to admit. People know exactly what they make, but they have no idea what they're spending. Let me tell you about a real estate investor I came across recently. We talked about it last episode. This man owned over 40 properties, over 82 doors of rental income. You think this guy's completely sick. He's got a real estate empire. I asked him how he was doing financially. He says, I still feel broke.
I don't understand how.
If you want to do it, I could talk to your fan for you.
$80,000 coming in, and in the month, I'm not keeping none of it.
40 properties, 82 doors of rental income, and still broke. And he says, I love living off of it. How does that happen? Because keep this in mind, assets don't automatically equal control. And this is what I call the lifestyle income trap. Watch this episode right here. Income goes up, but your lifestyle rises faster. What am I talking about? You get the car, you get the clothes, you get a vacation, family expectations climb. You're rich, you're making money, help me out. Friends expect more to pay for their food and their meals, etc. Social media pressure compounds it all. But quiet question, it's slow, silent leak. Destroys more wealth than bad investments ever will. I've watched it happen to real estate investors. I watched it happen to professional athletes. Carmelo Anthony said it publicly. Between federal, state, and city income taxes, 50 to 60% of an athlete's income disappears before they even touch it. And then lifestyle takes the rest. Bad decisions takes the rest. And suddenly, someone can look wealthy from the outside, yet on the inside, trapped. Asset rich, cash poor. Proverbs 27 verse 23 says, know the condition of your flocks. Give careful attention to your herds. And herds today, because herds and flock were money back in the day, your herds and flock today is money in the bank. Again, in Solomon's day, your flocks were your finances. You couldn't grow what you couldn't see. You couldn't protect what you weren't tracking. The same truth happens today. And here's a question I ask in every workshop. Without looking at your phones right now, do you know what you spent last month? It's just so easy to see this phone, right? Especially we got the Apple Pay, tap, 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 tap. Next thing you know, boom, $10,000 of expenses. Not roughly, not approximately, but exactly, you got to know. Most people can never answer that. That silence of them not knowing what they're spending is exactly where wealth goes to disappear. Here's your self-audit. Ask yourself this question. Is my lifestyle rising faster than my assets? I want to let you know, feel encouragement. It's okay to say no. Meanwhile, drop the word creep, as in lifestyle creep, in the comments if the lifestyle trap is showing up in your life. I've had to check myself on this one too as well. Third pillar. What am I talking about in this third pillar? Is about protection. This one is the area that most people skipped until it's too late. What am I talking about? People insure the car before they insure their income. Now think about that. You're protecting the vehicle, not the engine that pays for it. Remember, you're the engine. One of my newest agents, his name is Israel Unzueta up in Chicago. Former DJ, he used to make beats. Now he's working at an agency with insurance. He put on social media, he just processed his very first death claim. 3 years in this industry. He posted something publicly that I want to share with you. He said, when someone calls you to tell you their loved one has died, and you were the first person they called, that hits different. You can't really prepare for a moment like that. And then he said this, moments like these are coming. Trust me, you want to be ready. Now think about this. That family, sadly, had a death in their family, yet they were ready because someone had the conversation before the crisis hit. Not during the crisis, but before it. I've been doing this now for 26 years. And the families I've watched weather the worst financial storms, they weather the job loss, they weather the health crisis, they weather unexpected death. Every single one of them had protection in place before they needed it. They came through crisis with confidence and clarity. And the families that struggled the worst were the ones who said, yeah, I'll get back to that later. I'll think about it. Proverbs chapter 22 verse 3 says this, the prudent see danger and take refuge, but the simple keep going and pay the penalty. Protection simply is not a product. It's not a religion. It's a pillar. And you need it standing before the storm arrives. So here's your self-audit question. If you couldn't work for 6 months, what's the plan? If there's no answer, that pillar needs to go up right now. Drop the word protected in the comment section below as I discuss the fourth pillar, which is decision governance. And this is the one nobody wants to talk about. How do you make financial decisions? Are you emotional about it? Are you reactive to it? Yeah, are you based on what you saw someone post on Instagram as you're death scrolling each night? Now, I watched it for years. Someone hears about Bitcoin. Someone hears about crypto. They take whatever money they have, sometimes everything they have, and they go all in. No framework, no filler, just a gut feeling, just fear and FOMO driving a decision that could set them back for years. And then the market swings, bam. 1 month goes up, down the next. The financial loss, extremely painful, but the emotional toll, now that's devastating because there was no structure underneath that decision. It was just emotion dressed up as opportunity. Now, I want to give you something I wrote about in my book, Faith Made Millionaire. It's the framework I use personally over the years and the one that we walk every client through before they put their money anywhere to remove emotion from the decision-making process and inject logic. I call it the laser test, LSRT. Every decision runs through 4 filters. Number 1, liquid. Is your money liquid? Can I access my money when I need it? Or is it locked up where I can't reach it from a moment of real need? S stands for safety. Is my money protected from losses, protected from war, protected from Trump, from Biden, from Democrats, Republicans, economic crisis, Wall Street doing its thing? If the market drops tomorrow, does my money drop with it? Because a 50% loss requires a 100% gain just to get you back to where you started. Next one is R, rate of return. Is this outpacing inflation? Is it building my purchasing power over time? Or is it just sitting somewhere earning nothing while inflation eats it alive? And T, in this laser test acronym, T stands for tax advantages. When I use this money, pull this money out for income purposes, how much money does Uncle Sam take? Does cousin California take anything? Does cousin New York take anything? Does cousin Texas take anything? Because the wealthy don't just build wealth. They protect it from unnecessary taxation. Now let me run crypto through this laser test right now. You ready for this? L, is it liquid? Sometimes, but these exchanges can freeze. S, is it safe? No, it can lose 70% overnight. R, does it earn a rate of return that outpaces inflation? Yes, to the moon, but it's unpredictable and unstable. Does that have any tax advantages? No, it's taxable as property and triggers capital gains or capital losses. For me, it doesn't pass a test with only 1 of 4 checkpoints that satisfy my comfort level. Now, it may be different for you, but this is not personally what I trust my safe money with. Because my money, for me, has to be there no matter what. Now, that doesn't mean there's never a place for speculative investments. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so take this as education information from a friend. But for me, crypto and things like that are speculative, they should never be the foundation. They should never be where your protection lives. They should never be your primary financial strategy. Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22 says, plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Before any major decision, it requires 3 questions. Number 1, does this align with where I'm going? Number 2, have I consulted someone who has already walked this path? And number 3, am I moving with strategy or am I just doing this emotionally? And here's your self-audit. What framework governs your financial decisions right now? Because most people just wing it. If the answer is winging it and from your gut, remember, your gut has been wrong before. Drop the word laser in the comment section below. And if you want to walk through your personal financial structure, the link is in the description below. Now, let me bring in one real world example to this together. You might remember episode 2, we talked about WeWork. This company founded in 2010, and by 2019, privately valued at $47 billion. Global footprint, explosive growth, looked unstoppable from the outside. But when the IPO filing came out, it revealed nearly $2 billion in losses in one single year. Why? Weak governance, no real structural controls underneath all that expansion. When scrutiny came, the CEO, the board, the foundation couldn't hold. The IPO ended up collapsing, the founder stepped down, and by November 2023, WeWork filed for bankruptcy. Now, please hear this clearly. This is not a real estate story. This is a structure story. And I've watched the same pattern play out in households across this country for nearly 26 years. The crazy part, not at $47 billion, but at $47,000, $4.7 million, $47,000. How? Same principle, just a different scale. Growth without structure doesn't just pause. It takes everything you built when it all fails. So let's group this all back together one more time. Episode 1, order before increase. You got to establish order. Episode 2, capacity. Build the ability to carry more. Episode 3, we talk about freedom. Responsibility is the price of it all. Episode number 4, structure. Build the foundation that holds all of it. You see the sequence? God never bypasses preparation. He never rewards chaos with expansion. Look at Nehemiah. The walls of Jerusalem were destroyed. His people were exposed, vulnerable, broken. And Nehemiah didn't just pray for restoration, wait for a miracle. He assessed the damage first. He built a plan. He assigned sections to specific people. He set watches at every gap. He built the structure first. Then the walls went up. He's fighting with one hand, and with the other hand, he was building. This is not just a Bible story. This, my friends, is a blueprint, especially in economic times like right now. For what? Your finances, for your business, and for your family. As I wrap up, let me ask you the question I ask myself every time I'm about to make a major move. If God doubled my income tomorrow, would my structure hold it? Not my ambition, not my desire, not just by faith alone, does my structure support it? Because here's how I know after 26 years of sitting across families in the boardroom and the kitchen tables and professionals at every income level. Ambition without architecture is just energy with no direction. It's all over the place. The storm is coming. It will eventually come your way. Prepare for it. The only variable is what you've built underneath when it arrives. So today, make a decision. Please, I implore you. Stop building on sand and start building on rock on a solid foundation. And if you're ready to commit to that, drop the word structure in the comment section below. Not for me, for you. Let's mark the moment. If this series is building something in you, please, if you haven't done so yet, smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, and drop your biggest takeaway in the comment section below. Remember, I read every single one and potentially might include it in the next episode. Because in the next episode, number 5, we talk about one of my favorite words, my favorite areas of math, which is multiplication. 2 people, same opportunity, same starting point. One doubles it, one loses everything. And the Bible identified exactly why. 2,000 years ago. Think about that code. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe and see us next week. From Dallas, Texas, I'm your Money Smart guy. And until we meet again, continue to live smart, continue to love smart, and be money smart today.